take a moment to think about why it actually matters and why the gut has become so popular lately in terms of a lot of health circles. And I mean, I could go on for hours as to why, so this is going to be a very quick rundown. And when I say gut, I'm talking about your GI system, namely your stomach and intestines. And one of the main reasons why is pretty much the most obvious. It is the site of digestion and absorption. And so what you're putting in your body, if you're not digesting and absorbing it, then you're not able to use it. And that means even if you're eating the best diet possible and getting all the nutrients you need, all the energy you need, if you're not absorbing it, then it really doesn't matter. And then that can cause malnutrition and a whole lot of problems. But there's other things too that may be going on. For one, you may have inflammation that starts in your gut and becomes systemic. And chronic low-grade systemic inflammation has been linked to a lot of the chronic diseases today: heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune conditions. The list goes on and on. And then you also have just the gut everything axis. Study upon study upon study is showing the gut's connection with the rest of the body. And it makes sense. It's one of the major systems. It's going to be connected with a lot of the others. One of the big ones is the gut-brain axis. There's a two-way communication between your gut and your brain. And so that's why when you're feeling anxious, you might get an upset stomach, some diarrhea. And studies are also showing the opposite way. If you have chronic diarrhea, chronic issues in the gut, it may contribute to anxiety, depression, and other mood disorders. Your gut is also the place where a lot of your neurotransmitters are synthesized as well. About 95% of your serotonin is actually synthesized in the gut. Now, it may not cross the blood-brain barrier, but it still does act, and it still does impact a lot of your brain health as well. And then the gut also has an interaction with your liver, your kidneys, your skin, so many different organ systems. So if something's going wrong with the gut and it's not really communicating with these other systems as well as it should, or not doing what it's supposed to do in the chain, it's going to cause problems somewhere down the line. Your immune system is another place. Your gut has about 70% of your immune system in there. It makes sense. It's one of the main places that you interact with your environment through food. So there's a lot going on there, and if there's something disrupting there, it can cause a chain of events that interrupts other aspects of your immune system. And then you've probably heard a lot about the microbiome. That's everywhere now. It's so interesting, and there's just more and more that we're learning about it. We don't even know everything. Studies are showing that some of the cravings that you have for food actually may be coming from the gut microbes, not yourself. They synthesize some of the neurotransmitters as well as some key nutrients and so much more. And so making sure that your microbiome is in the right balance can be a key aspect to numerous different health aspects. And then there's also detox. You hear a lot about detox. Well, your body does have a natural system for detoxification, and the gut comes into a very key role, which is elimination. If you can't get the toxins out, they're just going to recirculate and they can cause problems. So there's just, as you can see, so many different ways that the gut plays in health. And so it's a great foundation. It's a great place to start, whether you're looking to optimize your health or you have some chronic health condition that you're trying to treat. It may actually be one source or the source of the root cause of the problem. And I'm not just talking about problems that may have symptoms that you would associate with the gut, like nausea, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting, gas, bloating. Those all are signs something's going on in the gut. But it may be other symptoms as well. It may be fatigue, brain fog, just a lot of different kind of more vague symptoms that could be symptoms of anything may actually reside with the gut. So what do we do about it? And is it really the end-all be-all of health? Well, your body is complicated. There's a lot of really important systems. So obviously the gut is not the only thing to address, and it's not the most important or the end-all be-all. For some people, it may be. For some people, their symptoms, once they address their gut, they go away and everything's great. Other people, it's just one step in a larger health journey. But it's always a great idea to kind of look at what is going on in the gut, whether you're experiencing chronic symptoms or some sort of chronic illness, or you are just looking to be as healthy as you can be. So ultimately, once we get through the 5 R's that I'm going to talk about, is really to get through the steps and get to a place where the gut is healed and where you're healthy and stronger, you're not having the symptoms, and you're able to eat whatever you want, and there's diversity in it. Now, of course, you may make choices based on trying to choose more nutritious foods rather than others, but it's still a matter of physically you can eat anything that you choose to. So what are the 5 R's are the functional medicine tool to heal the gut. So I'm going to go through them and kind of my take on a lot of them, give you some tips on what you can do, although some of them are really best done under the guidance of some sort of expert. And so the first one is simply removal. And this has to do mostly with food. So this is where something like the elimination diet comes into play, although there's a lot of different foods that you may choose to eliminate. Your basic elimination diet has some of the top allergens and inflammatory foods like gluten, dairy, soy, and then also things like processed foods. Now, not everyone may go through that kind of elimination diet, but it's pretty standard, especially for those who aren't sure what kind of things are triggering them, just to do the most common ones, see what's going on. You may only take out 1 or 2 foods. Maybe you just do gluten, maybe just dairy. You may take out foods that you already kind of know are causing an issue. There's also other sorts of foods that contain certain things like FODMAPs, oxalates, histamines. These things may kind of sound weird, but they're basically things in foods that may be contributing to the problem. So you take out the foods that are high in those, see if it is. Now, an elimination diet, this removal stage, it's usually about 21 to 28 days. Then the really important part of this stage is reintroduction. So you're kind of taking away things for a short period of time, letting things calm down, and then seeing if anything is triggering. Sometimes just the removal is all you need to do. Other times you go through, you reintroduce the foods that may be the cause. Some of them you're perfectly fine with, others you still react to. Now, if you still react to the food, you will continue to eliminate it from your diet. But again, the goal is down the line that you will in fact be able to eat these foods again. There are some scenarios where that won't be the case. For example, people with celiac disease, gluten is just going to be cut out for the rest of their lives. People who have more anaphylactic symptoms when they eat food, as opposed to gut kind of feeling nauseous or anything, if you're having breathing or itching in the mouth, then you may want to stay away from it as well. So there isn't a caveat to the removal stage. It's not always the best for everyone, especially those who have a disordered eating history, eating disordered history, OCD, or some other factors similar to that. If it's medically necessary, then you definitely want to work with an expert who's used to doing some sort of elimination diet with those who have any sort of disordered eating or eating disorder problems. So what's number 2? It's replace. So in this stage, you're kind of looking and seeing what are the natural things that help with digestion, and do you need some support there? So this is mainly like your digestive enzymes, hydrochloric acid. These are the things that break down and help with the absorption of food. If your own body isn't making them well enough, then that's going to interfere with that digestion and absorption that we talked about earlier. So you may need to take supplemental stomach acid and enzymes, or you may just need something to kind of stimulate your own body's natural digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. This is something like bitters. So this is another step where really talking to someone about your own unique situation can really help target what you need to replace. Some people may not need to replace anything. They may have everything kind of working in order and may be able to skip this step. So what's number 3? 3, it has a few different titles. I like the one reinoculate, and it has to do with that gut microbiome. This is where you really look, give it a good focus, and see, is there imbalance in there? Is there more of the more negative bad bacteria versus the good bacteria, also known as commensal bacteria? So if there is this imbalance, if it's dysbiosis, then doing some things to change this. This may be taking probiotics, and there are targeted strains of probiotics you can take for certain symptoms that really have been shown to help specifically with those. Then you can also do things to build up your own microbiome, things like adding fiber, prebiotics. These are the fuels that those bacteria, especially the good bacteria, really feed off of. Now, I will caution you that if you are adding any fiber or prebiotics to your diet, do so slowly and build up. When you first start doing it, you may experience some extra gas, bloating, some cramping. Some of it is kind of natural, just it's the microbiome kind of changing and altering. If it's really bad, then and it lasts for longer than say 24 to 48 hours, then you definitely want to stop what you're doing and talk to somebody about it, because there may be some other issues going on. Number 4 is repair. Now, this is another step that not everyone may need to do. This is really if there is something going on with the actual gut itself, there's inflammation in the lining, maybe there's some damage, especially something like some of the inflammatory bowel diseases. This is where really you've given your body a rest. Now you're giving some support to help it repair. There's some great herbs you can use, things like aloe vera, marshmallow. There's something called glutamate, which is a protein. It's also the fuel source for a lot of your intestinal cell lining. And there's vitamins that you can take, zinc, antioxidants, glutathione, a lot of different things that can help support the healing process of your gut so that it does get stronger and then down the line is better able to handle insults coming its way. Now, the 5th step is my favorite, but it's actually one that's kind of left off from a lot of people with the functional medicine. There's some who do 4 R's, some who do 5. I like the 5 because the 5th one is rebalance. And this is where you look at your lifestyle. You look at other things going on in your life that may be contributing to the problem. This may be stress. Maybe that you're too busy. It may be that you're not exercising, or maybe you're exercising too much and that's causing a problem. And this is where I kind of want to end today as well, not just because it's the 5th R, but also because it's one that you could look at right now in your life and try to decide what is one thing that I could do to change that may create just a healthier, more relaxed environment for the gut. Because if you're constantly stressed, if you're constantly in that fight or flight mode, then your gut is also going to be more stressed, and that can trigger some of the issues as well. So look around. This may be saying no to something. This may be asking for help. That could be really hard, but especially if you're a caregiver and you're working, then maybe you just need to find a way to ask for help, perhaps from a partner, a family member, a friend, or if you can afford it, you actually find some paid help. It may be something like meditation. This is a great thing to add to your life, and you could just be as little as 5 minutes, 15 minutes a day, just to find that moment to relax and just recenter and ground yourself. Maybe it's going out into nature a little more. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can also just start to journal. It can be a bullet journal. It can be super simple. You can do it on your phone with emojis if you want to, as long as you understand it. But start to make associations either with the food you're eating and kind of what's going on, or maybe with how you're feeling during the day. What really stresses you out? Because it's a completely individual thing as to what's adding the stress. Some people really thrive on certain stressful situations. Think of the type A people who just love that kind of ambitious hard work. For other people, that completely wipes them out and they can't do that. So figure out the things that really stress you out in your life, or just add something more negative to your life, and especially the really simple things that you can change. Some of the bigger ones like work, needing to change work, getting out of a toxic relationships, these sorts of things are really hard to change, and sometimes you need to work on the foundation of your health before you can make such big changes. But I promise you, there is something in your life that you have control over that you can change. And sometimes just the little smallest step is a great first step, and you take small little baby steps, and then before you know it, you've made great changes to your health and to your life. So thank you so much.